Welcome to another episode of Curtain Call Conversations. I'm here today with Michael Greco, who you will know, of course, as Beppe DeMarco from Eastenders, but he's currently out in the touring production of 12 Angry Men. How are you today?
I'm very well, thank you. I've just been to the gym, just been shopping with my little boy, and the puppy's just escaped out of the house. But other than that, quite a quiet morning.
What dog have you got, more importantly?
We've just got a Cavapoo.
Oh, sweet.
We did have one, and it passed away not long ago. So we were so distraught. We got another one.
Yeah, they get you, don't they? Dogs, they're
They do.
your best friend.
Yeah,
absolutely.
they are. They're part of the family.
Yeah, absolutely. Right. More talk about theatre. Let's talk about that instead. So you're out with the production of 12 Angry Men. I mean, it's been on tour for quite a while, and you've sort of had a couple of cast changes, etc. So how are you enjoying the tour?
Yeah, it's been great. It's been on tour. We started rehearsing in October, so it's been a good 8 months, really, by the time we finish. And we've got 4 weeks to go, and it's become. I mean, it was always a great show, but it's really slick now.
Yeah.
We just finished a week in Dublin, and one of the biggest theatres I've ever been at. It was 2,111 capacity.
Oh wow!
And we were pretty much full every night and every matinee, fair enough, and standing ovation every. It's gone down really well, because I think most places love to go and see a musical, don't they? But not everybody loves a musical, and some people love to see a play. And this is a great, well-written play. It's based on, well, actually, the play was written before the film, and the son of Reginald Rose, who wrote it, came to see the show in Dublin.
Oh wow!
He's in his 70s now, and he gave us a good chat about his dad and stuff afterwards. So it was fantastic. Yeah.
Oh, that's great. So obviously you mentioned there it's written by Reginald Rose. It's a courtroom drama. I mean, tell us about sort of, I know your characters don't have names in this particular production. You're known by a number. So tell us about your number.
Well, I'm juror 7 out of 12. And obviously everyone knows there's 12 members of the jury. And this is obviously 12 angry men. So it's all men. Otherwise, it couldn't be 6 angry men and 6 angry women. That'd be a different play, wouldn't it?
Yeah, exactly.
And it's funny because someone said, what would it be like if there were women in the play? And I think women tend to argue in a different way to 12 testosterone-filled men, don't they? Women are a little bit more logical and free thinking in that way. So it wouldn't be the same kind of show, I don't think. So I think it has to stick to really having 12 men playing the 12 men. Yeah. And it's basically 12 men who go after a court case and have to decide whether this young boy is guilty of killing his father. And there's twists and turns all over the place. It's great because it's one of those kind of dramas that we get to see. You see a lot of courtroom dramas that people love, but this is backroom. You don't really get to see what happens when the jurors go and decide the fate of this young boy, and this is exactly what happens in 1957, basically. And it's funny that the writing stands up to today's times, with the prejudice and everything that's going on in the world, with the xenophobia and the racism and everything that happens in the world, which we've had for many a year. And it's stood the test of time.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, just before we started recording there, I said I have seen the show in Birmingham, and it's sort of, it's very gripping. I think that's the thing with it, because you don't know what's going to happen next, and everybody's got such an opinion, but then it's all, it's flipped on its head with somebody else giving a different argument, and that sort of vibe. I mean, it's just really thrilling, I think, as a play.
Yeah,
and you all work really well.
Yeah, we're all entitled to our opinion, aren't we, in this day and age? And everyone was back then entitled to. Yeah. My character's funny because he's the one that really wants to get out of there, because it's all basically, it's like my team is Chelsea, and it would be like me having tickets to see the final, Chelsea against Manchester City of the FA Cup. Yeah. And, I have to get out because it's starting in 4 hours. Come on, let's just, he's guilty. And then there's one person who says he's not guilty. And so it goes on and on. So the frustrations are hilarious that you see from my character, basically, of how he just wants to get out of there, and anything. But, it takes all these twists and turns, and he's a joy to play. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, it's important for everybody to have that opinion, obviously, because, the young lad that's been accused, I mean, he will be sentenced to death. So, it's a lot different than, this country. So, the conversations have to be made, and they have to be long. So, yeah, you're right. Yeah. You can't just go, oh, yeah, guilty, because you're signing
especially
away.
Especially in America at that time. And even now, it's, if there's any reasonable doubt, then you cannot send this person to the electric chair.
Yeah.
You know, that should be for all cases, really.
Yeah.
You
Well,
know, you can't
absolutely.
kill, or I think there have been cases in the past where someone has been electrocuted or, you know, put
Yeah,
to
I'm
death, and
sure.
later you find that they were innocent, you know,
Yeah,
and the
I'm
real
sure that.
perpetrators come forward.
Yeah.
So, you know, it's very relevant, and people
Yeah.
will absolutely go with it. The audiences are completely hooked into
Mm.
what's going on stage. Fantastic acting, the writing's
Yeah.
superb, and the set design is also fantastic.
Yeah, it is. So it's all set within one room, sort of where you're
Mm.
held as a jury. So that, you know, there's no need for any, you know, scene changes or anything like that, because the action
No,
is so gripping in itself in that one particular space. I think that
that's
works
right.
so well as well. So have you worked with any of the cast before that you're on
No,
stage with? No. Oh,
no, and there are a few guys that have been on TV for many years. I knew a couple
yeah.
of them that I'd heard of. Others I hadn't. I'm not a big TV watcher, funny enough.
Oh, okay.
I just, especially now at the moment, because I've got a little boy and another one on the
Oh,
way, so I don't really have much
oh,
time to sit down and watch TV.
no.
So I didn't know who probably 11 out of the 12 jurors were.
Okay.
Sorry, 10 out of the 11 jurors were. And I knew one of the guys, Gary Webster, who used to be in Minder, who
Yeah.
took over from Dennis Waterman.
Yeah.
Fantastic guy. I love him to bits. So I never worked with any of them, and it's been a joy, because when I was first offered the play, I thought, oh, I don't know, can I do a play with 11 other guys? You know, I just, you know, I am a man who loves the company of women, you know, a mixture.
Right.
I would, you know, I'd have to think about doing a play with 12 other women as well, because, you know,
Yeah.
you need a good mixture, don't you?
Yeah.
And I thought, oh, I don't know whether I could tour for 8 months and do a play with
Mm.
11 other men. It's worked out really well, to be fair.
Yeah.
I'm the third youngest, and I'm nearly 55. So it gives you a good idea of the experience of these guys have
Yeah.
on stage.
Well, exactly, and it comes across because it's you know, it's a very sort of, you know, there's a lot of dialogue for you all to learn. I mean, for one, I mean, how's your sort of learning of lines? How do you do it? I know different actors have different ways.
Yeah.
How is
Oh, I'm
your?
terrible. I think as I've gotten older, I've found it a lot harder.
Oh, have
So I
you?
was offered this. We started rehearsals in October, and I was offered this in the June last
Yeah.
year. So I had a few months to prepare. So I made sure I knew all my lines before the first day of rehearsal, because
Okay.
I have this recurring dream, which a lot of actors have, where you're
Mm.
on stage and you freeze and you don't know your lines.
Yeah.
And that's almost like a reminder to me to know your lines.
Mm.
You know, one of the first rules of any acting job is know your lines. So
Yeah.
then you're free to act properly. You're not thinking of the lines or
Mm.
stumbling or worried about, you know, having stage fright. Every actor has stage fright in a way, you know,
Yeah.
and they channel it through their performances. And I think in my whole career, in my 30 odd years of professional career on stage, I think I've probably dried once, and that I dried for about 2 seconds, and then
Oh,
it came
right.
back to me.
Wow.
So
Yeah.
yeah, so
Petrifying.
yeah, but I think
Yeah.
as we get older, it's just what it is, isn't it? You
Mm.
don't
Well, yeah.
retain things as much as you do when you're older.
Yeah, and we're all human, you know, we can all
We're
make
all human.
mistakes. That's just one of
That's
those
right.
things, isn't it? Yeah, everybody
That's it.
would agree. So this tour, we'll be heading to the Wolverhampton Grand Theatre between the 6th and 11th of May, and it won't be your first trip to the Wolverhampton Grand, because you were there a
No,
couple of years ago in Panto, which I did see. Thought it was
yeah,
brilliant. I mean, you played the villain. How was it
yeah.
for you?
Abanaza, yeah, it was
Yeah,
great. I loved it.
yeah.
I'm not just saying this because I'm going to Wolverhampton, but it was one of my top 3 ever favourite theatres. It's
Oh,
the Grand
brilliant.
Theatre. It's
Yeah, it's lovely.
stunning.
Yeah,
When I first walked on that stage and saw, you know, the auditorium, I was like, wow, this
yeah,
is stunning, this theatre. And the staff are amazing,
they
so
are.
friendly. You
They
know,
are.
and I can't. So I've been telling all the guys who are in the cast who never appeared at the Grand, said you're in for a treat,
Yeah.
because they're great audiences, and it's a great theatre. So I can't
Yeah,
wait. Can't
yeah,
wait.
it is. And sort of the Panto experience for you. I mean, was that have you done Panto before?
I've done Panto
Yeah.
before. I played Abanaza before, and I've done Captain Hook. So,
Ah.
you know, whenever there's a baddie in a Panto, I'm your man. I'm too old to play the young kind of buck, you know, and I'm not a buttons person. That's not me.
No.
You know, I'll leave that to Bradley Walsh.
Yeah.
But if there's a villain, then I'm your favourite.
Yeah, I think you can just be so sort of out there with a villain, especially in panto. I mean,
Oh
it
God,
was
yeah,
brilliant. Yeah, I mean, you can be so
yeah,
naughty because it just works,
yeah.
doesn't it? And
It
the kids
works, yeah.
lap it up, don't they?
Kids love it. The kids love it, and the more you're booing, the more they're booing, the more you know you're doing a good
Yeah,
job.
yeah,
Because you do lose
absolutely.
your voice doing panto 2 shows a day, because
Yeah,
you're having to project over the top of all the noise and furore,
yeah.
you know. And by the end of the 6 weeks, I was knackered. My voice was knackered. Put it
Yeah,
that way.
yeah. Yeah, no, it's such a great art form in itself, panto. I just think it's
Yeah,
wonderful. So obviously, you know, we can't not chat about EastEnders because, you
of
know,
course,
that's where people will know you from the best. So
absolutely.
you joined the show in '98. I think you were there, what, 5 years ish?
Yeah,
Yeah,
I joined the show at the end of '97 until end of 2000. So I was there about 5 years. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
And you know, it will have the fondest memories. It
Mm,
really will. It was back then. EastEnders was very different to what it is now.
yeah.
Obviously, we have 20 million viewers
Mm,
per episode. You're
yeah.
not going to get that now on any
No,
TV program,
no.
unless England is in the final of the European Championships or the World Cup, or
Yeah,
you know, you've got a wedding or a funeral of something of sorts. But
yeah.
you're not going to get any TV program ever getting
Mm,
20 million viewers
no, that's
per
mad.
episode. It just
Yeah,
doesn't work,
no.
you know. And I think that's not because the show has gone down, although some might say it's not as good as it used to be. But I think it's also people just don't watch TV like they used to.
No,
You know,
no.
we used to all sit down at 7:30 when when that
Yeah,
started,
yeah,
with your
absolutely.
cup of tea or your food on your lap and stuff, and you sit down with your kids or your parents and watch it. But that just doesn't happen anymore, sadly.
No, I mean it must have been like a show when you're casting that. You're like this. Your stardom must be from zero to like a million because, as
Oh
you
yeah,
say, you're in people's houses all the time. So what?
yeah.
I mean, what's it like to deal with?
It was funny because we had filmed 7 weeks of EastEnders and we hadn't been on screen yet. And then within the first month, I would say, it was like I was Paul McCartney. You know,
Yeah,
it's incredible. Everybody knew who you were,
yeah,
from a young child of 2 years old who'd been watching it with their parents to an older lady or man walking down
yeah,
the street with their shopping, turning around, going, "Oh, I know you," you know. And
yeah,
it was great. And I think I am one of these people because I became famous quite not late in my career, but you know, I was 28.
mm,
It's not like I was a child and I couldn't handle it. I knew how to handle it because I was from a working class background that
mm,
always mixed with everybody. You know, I wasn't
yeah,
this kind of person who had his head in the clouds. And so I've been able to handle it quite well.
mm,
There were times when I was denigrated unfairly by the press because I wouldn't do any interviews. And so they just make stuff up about me.
yeah,
But that was what the press were like back then.
yeah,
But now I look back and go, you know, there was 5 incredible years. And, you know, till the day I die, I will be known as Beppe DeMarco from EastEnders. And that's just the way it is.
yeah,
You have to accept that. And Ross
yeah,
Kemp will always be Grant Mitchell,
yeah,
you know.
exactly. Yeah,
And as much as someone can complain that, oh, they always think I'm this, that, and the other, it is what it is. You
yeah.
know, it's opened a few doors for me, but it's also closed a few
Okay, that's
because of the
interesting.
facts that I am Beppe from EastEnders, you know,
Right.
which is unfair in a way because we're
Mm,
all actors at the end of the day.
yeah.
We're all trying to do a job, and if you're good enough for the job, you
Mm,
know, if your face fits,
yeah.
it's like anything these days. If you're, it doesn't matter what color, religion, what creed you are, how you look,
Mm,
whatever. If you're the right person for the job, if you all
yeah.
have the talent, if
Yeah.
you have the intelligence for that company to offer you the job,
Mm,
purely based on your talent, then brilliant, you
yeah.
know. But
Absolutely.
unfortunately,
That's a-
some casting directors and producers don't see that. They just go, "Well, you used to be in a soap." You know, they're
yeah.
very snobbish about it, and that's unfair because a lot of soap actors are fantastic actors.
Well, it's a hard gig, isn't it? I mean, you sometimes these soaps are on 5 nights a week, so it's not as if
Yeah,
you're just rocking up for a couple of hours each day, are you?
no,
It's
and
hard
I tell you
work.
what, this guy started on a block of EastEnders once, and he was taking his time, and I said to him, "Come on, Tom, you know this isn't the Oscars. We got to do 25 scenes a day. You're on
Yeah.
lunchtime. You've done scene 5," and he was laughing. He was going, "Yeah, I know." Well, I was in LA 10 years later, and I was watching the Oscars, and they said, "And the award for the best director goes to Tom Hooper for King's Speech," and that was the same guy.
Oh,
I said,
really?
"Yeah." So he started off in EastEnders.
Oh,
So I'm
wow.
thinking, well, if a director can start off directing EastEnders and then win an Oscar, why can't actors have the same choice? You
Yeah.
know?
Well,
Yeah,
absolutely. You're the front facing lot from it, aren't you? So
that's right.
Yeah, I mean, obviously reading about you and your career, you've done musical theatre as well,
Yes,
which is my
yes,
passion. So you were
yeah,
Billy Flynn in Chicago. I
I
mean,
was,
that's an
yeah.
iconic role. So
Oh,
how is that?
I love musical theatre. I
Oh,
love musical
good,
theatre.
good, good,
My
good.
top three musicals are West Side Story, Hamilton,
Yeah.
and a toss up between Miss Saigon and Les Miserables. One of
Oh,
those
Miss
two.
Saigon is mine.
It's
Ultimate.
fantastic. I was at the first production in 1989, the Royal performance.
Oh,
I was at drama
wow.
school and they invited us along, and the Queen Mother attended. And yeah, I
Wow.
was from that moment on. It was like wow.
So Leia
Um,
Salonga, you saw.
yeah, so Lea
Right,
Salonga and Simon
wow.
Bowman saw the original cast.
Yeah. Oh,
So yeah, so your question about Billy Flynn, yeah,
yeah.
I love musicals, and Billy Flynn was a huge one of my top five ever favorite jobs.
Yeah.
I'd love to do them again actually, because at the time I had a polyp on my vocal cord, so my singing
Oh,
voice wasn't as good. It
oh,
was quite
okay.
husky,
Okay.
hence why Beppe was so husky, because he was,
Oh,
very much like that, wasn't
he
he?
was, yeah.
I was, yeah. I was like
Bit
the
Phil
whole
Mitchell, yeah.
like Phil. I was like Kathy. I was like Grant. I was like Steve. There's five of us. You couldn't distinguish, could you?
Yeah.
I could have been Kathy one day and Phil Mitchell the next.
Yeah.
I had a polyp, so I had that
Oh,
removed
wow.
about 5 years ago. My singing voice has come back now,
Yeah.
so my singing voice is better than ever. So
Oh,
if I
good.
was given the chance to do Billy Flynn again, I would be a lot better.
So you'd relish another role in a musical
Oh,
going
absolutely,
forward? Yeah.
absolutely. I think my dream role would be Javert in Les Mis.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's my dream role.
Another
I'd be able
baddie.
to sing. Yeah, another baddie. Yeah, another
Yeah.
baddie. I'm a high baritone, so um,
Okay.
I'm, I suppose, between a high baritone and a tenor. But I'm not a top tenor, because you'd have to be a top tenor to play Valjean,
Oh, yeah.
because he gets right up there.
Oh, yeah.
It's
Yeah.
proper tight trousers time.
That's a
So
hard, yeah. That's a
that's
hard
hard. Yeah.
sing, that one. Yeah.
I don't think even Michael Ball could do it now, because it's funny, it's interesting, because Michael Ball went to my drama school. He was a few years above me at
Okay.
Guildford School of Acting.
Yeah.
And when he first did Aspects of Love, obviously, love will never let you. That's a top B flat, the very
Yes.
top note.
Yeah.
And I think he's done Aspects of Love recently. Well, they've transposed it down, because there's no way
No way.
that he
No.
can get that high now. He can't. They've transposed it
No.
down to, I think, a top G now.
Yeah. I mean,
And it's
your voice
interesting.
stages. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it was on TV not long ago, and me and my partner, she's a singing teacher, and we
Oh.
both looked at each other and went, "That's not a top B flat." So she's got really good ears. We've got piano in the other room, and she went, "No, it's not. It's like a G or something." I don't blame him, because it's
Oh, God,
you get to
no.
a certain age, you can't sing anymore.
Yeah. You don't want to mess it up, the big note, do you? Really?
No,
That's
oh
what
my
everybody's
God,
there for. Yeah.
no, that's right. They're all waiting for that big note. Exactly.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, as well as sort of musical theatre and soaps, I mean, you've worked in the US as well.
Yes,
And you did a Netflix drama about the life of Cleopatra,
I did.
produced by
Did
Will
that.
Smith and his wife. I
Yeah,
mean, this
produced
is
by Will Smith and his wife.
exciting.
Yeah, it did very well in America. Although the biggest job I've ever done in America, well, actually, I did
Yeah.
the Hunger Games prequel recently with Viola Davis, which was
Wow.
fantastic. Unfortunately,
Wow.
some of my scenes were cut, but I'm in
Oh,
it, so it's that's fine. That's the way it goes.
yeah.
But I did a show called Hatfield and McCoys with Kevin Costner
Wow.
and Bill Paxton, the late Bill Paxton, fantastic guy,
Yeah.
and Tom Berenger, who was in Platoon.
Mhm.
And that's probably my favorite job ever,
Oh, really?
doing that. Yeah,
Yeah, I was going to ask you.
I remember going to watch Dances with Wolves at the cinema back in the late 80s, I think it was, maybe 89 or 90.
Mm.
And I remember going, wow, I love Kevin Costner. And then,
Yeah.
25, 30 years later, I'm working with him.
Wow.
Stuck
Was
in
he
stuck in
nice?
a hotel. Yeah.
Yeah.
We were all in a hotel in Romania, in the
Wow.
mountainside, 3 months together. So it was great. Then we became good friends.
Oh, excellent. So a bit of a
Yeah.
pinch me moment there for you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
oh, absolutely. Because
Yeah.
I wanted to know about The Bodyguard. I love the
Yeah.
film, and
Oh,
and
God,
he was
yeah.
very close to Whitney Houston, very, very close.
Oh,
Not in
yeah.
a romance way, but
Oh,
they were
no.
very good friends.
Yeah. 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 Well, that was tragic in itself. Yeah.
Tragic in
Right.
itself.
Yeah, absolutely. So 12 Angry Men will be at Wolverhampton Grand Theatre. As I mentioned, between the 6th and 11th of May, I'll pop the details on the next slide. But it's been a pleasure to chat to you today. Thank you
And
so
you,
much for taking the time, and good luck with
pleasure.
the rest of the runs, because it's
Thank you very
done
much.
really well. So
Thank you very
thank
much.
you. All right. Take
Cheers.
care. All right then.
Bye bye.
Bye-bye.